opening this Town of Adams Board of Selectmen's meeting. Wednesday, December 4th, 2019 is now in session. If you could please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item of business is the approval of minutes. Before us, we do have the November 6th and November 13th meeting minutes. I believe we can all vote.
Is that true?
That's what I'm just double checking. We can on the set from November 6th. And it looks like we all can on the November 9th, or November 13th.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to waive the reading of minutes and approve them as provided for November 6th, 2019 and November 13th, 2019.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Second by Jim. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that is unanimous. Next, we have public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to the board about something that's not on the agenda? Okay. Then we will move on. So we will jump down to new business. And the first item under new business is the appointment of Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District member, Ed Driscoll. Ed has served in this capacity for a number of years, and as the board may remember, we did talk about the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District makeup a few meetings ago. But Ed is looking to serve as the member that represents the town of Adams, and just needs to be appointed to continue his service in that role.
I make a motion that we appoint Ed Driscoll to the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste District.
I have a motion by Jim.
Second.
Second by John. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. And a few weeks ago, when we talked about the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District, we talked about Jim serving on that committee in representing the town of Adams. But when we did make that motion, we did not indicate that Jim would be serving as an alternate. And so this is to appoint Jim to serve as an alternate in case Ed is unable to attend a meeting and represent the town.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jim Bush as an alternate to the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District.
Thank you,
An
Joe.
alternate member.
Alternate, thank you. Is there, thank you. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I just had one
Sure,
question. Maybe you could answer it. How long are the appointments? Is that yearly or 3 years or
It's every year, I believe.
every year? Okay,
And
thank
we-
you.
Yeah, and we didn't have it included in our annual appointments
Okay,
back in June,
okay.
so we're correcting that now. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? An abstention?
I abstain.
Okay. All right. That brings us to the annual setting of dog license fees, and it looks like the town clerk is here. Haley, did you want to speak to this? I know there's a memo here, and I can read it, or you want me to read it? We might have questions, though, so you never know. The memo does state, "Dear board members, it is that time of year when the Board of Selectmen needs to set the dog license fees for the upcoming licensing period. The current fees are female dog not spayed, $20, male dog not neutered, $20, female dog spayed, $10, male dog neutered, $10, multiple dog licenses for 4 dogs is $30, multiple dog licenses for 10 dogs, $50, Multiple dog licenses for 25 dogs is $100. Boarding fees, $20 for the first day and $15 thereafter. Disposition fees, $50. Pickup fees, $10. Late fee, $10. Dog replacement tag, $1. Again, this year, a dog license registration form will be included in the 2020 census. Dog licenses are due on April 1st. Sincerely, Town Clerk Haley A. Mezwar. Any questions for the Town Clerk? She's present and she could answer them.
Yep, I have a question. I want to get you on the camera.
That's more of a statement.
Yeah. I was just curious, Haley, how many dogs do we have licensed in this community? Do you have a,
Well, I'm happy to report
okay?
that this year, for 2019, we have 945 dog licenses out there, and that does not include our kennel licenses. So I would have to say that my office is very proud to have that number. Last year, we licensed 786.
Good.
And so far this year, we've licensed 945. And I do have to say that has been with the help of the animal control officer and the chief of police. They were gracious enough to allow us to send out a letter to non-compliant dog owners, and that really did work. People came in and licensed their dog, and the animal control officer also made a few phone calls too. So in the collaboration of working with them and my office, we were able to increase our dog licenses.
How was the chief and the animal officer discern which ones were not licensed that should be?
We have an ongoing list in my office that we update regularly, weekly, daily. We get notified from the local vets that there's a dog in the rabies, so we keep an ongoing list. So we were able in June, after the deadline of June 15th, we were able to take out the ones that didn't, and we mailed them all a letter.
Great.
And then on top of doing that, then we gave the list to the animal control officer, who was able to also, on top of that, make some phone calls too. So people
Yeah.
were very compliant in Adams. I was very happy.
Yeah, and I think the fees aren't, they're set, I think, at a good rate.
They are, and they're comparable with the town, with
Right.
the neighboring towns also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, one question. These fees do cover expenses?
Oh, yes, yeah, they definitely exceed the expenses in my office. I can't speak on the animal control budget, but they definitely exceed my office. The licensing, the paperwork for that, and the actual dog tags.
Other questions or comments? And Haley, maybe you can speak to this, but we've been asked from time to time why we only license dogs and not cats. Is there?
I'm not really sure, but I think it would be rather difficult to license cats. In the fact that I don't own a cat, so I can't speak to it. But I don't know if they have to have certain kind of shots either. They may have to, I don't know. So that might have something to do with it too. I mean, the goal of licensing your dog is if something were to if your dog did get loose, obviously the tag, so that they can track you down by that. And you don't want your dog to be spending their time at the pen by any means, at the dog pound.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't want my dog to be spending any time there. And the fact that they have updated rabies in case something does happen. I mean, we all, treat our dogs to the best that we possibly can, and we take very good care of them. But, sometimes things do happen, and we want to definitely make sure that the dog has an up-to-date rabies shot.
Thank you. Anything else for Haley? Okay. What is the board's pleasure with regard to the dog fees that have been presented?
I make a motion, we accept the dog fees as set.
I have a motion by Jim,
Second?
a second by John. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Haley.
So that will bring us to the license renewals. This will take some time to go through the various licenses that we do issue. And I'm going to turn a lot of it over to Rick, who serves on the licensing subcommittee along with myself to go through this. We will go by category. So the first category under license renewals is the all alcohol package store licenses. And I'll turn this over to Rick.
Okay, so what I'll do is, there are some that are gonna be held out. So I'll start with making a motion to approve the all alcohol package store licenses for Masvar Inc., DBA Oasis Liquors, and Amdic LLC, DBA Valves Pipe and Package.
So I do have a motion by Rick for those two all alcohol package store licenses.
So there was just the two Ricks that you mentioned, okay?
For right now.
Yep.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Jim. Discussion.
I just want to note, I did not list out the street addresses because they were published on the website and in our agenda.
Okay. All right. And anything else on those two? Okay. So, motion and second, no other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous for those two establishments.
Now, for the all alcohol package store licenses, make a motion to approve the license for O'Gary's Package Stores, Inc.
I have a motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Jim. Any discussion?
The issue here is, the business was sold, and there was a transfer of the license, and the sale fell through at the end. But the license is actually still to the prospective owners. So we have to get that clarified through legal mumbo jumbo before we can actually issue that license back.
But we can approve the renewal,
Right, and
For
hold it
O'Gary's,
until
and
it's
hold it.
set.
and that's why we are doing this one separately from the other two, because it's a little different.
Just a quick question.
Sure, Joe.
Was that brought up to our town council? And he said that that was okay? Okay.
Yep. This was the recommended process
Yep.
to make sure that there is no disruption with the business.
Okay.
So, any other questions on the license for O'Gary's Package Store at this time? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or an abstention? It is unanimous. That brings us to the wine and malt package store licenses. Rick,
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the wine and malt package store licenses for Tri Petroleum Inc. and for Myrtle Street Supermarket Inc., DBA Adams Hometown Market.
I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Any discussion? And did you want to note that the addresses, you're just not going to say the addresses because
Yeah.
it's already posted? Got
We're
it.
gonna skip the addresses for the whole thing because it's published, so.
Perfect. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous.
Okay, also under wine and malt package store license, I make a motion we approve the JP Rose DBA 7-Eleven license and that it be held pending the change of manager.
Okay, I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
second it.
second by Jim. Any discussion?
And that was okay also by town council, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the process. It
Yeah.
just hasn't completed yet.
Okay, I just
Instead of
want to
making
check.
them wait.
Yep,
Can we also
Good
add
questions.
that not just the change of manager, but also the transfer?
Transfer license and change of manager?
Yeah.
Because they're separate.
Okay, so changed.
You'll amend your,
I'll amend my,
as noted, and Jim, are you okay?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the license for 7-Eleven? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That's unanimous. Okay. All alcohol establishments. We have a number of them.
okay, under all alcohol establishments, make a motion that we approve the all alcohol establishments for Nicholas Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Bounty Fair Restaurant. Yeah. All right, who's the help on this one?
Julius Slovaki.
Okay. Social group, Polish National Alliance. Society.
Oh, society, yeah. Society
Slovaki.
group. Yeah. Okay.
AJ's Trailside Pub. Forest Park Country Club. TAWJRW Inc., doing business as Wojo's. Commercial Street Cafe, doing business as the Viking Pub. Halflinger House, Adams Turner's Inc., The Grill. I'm going to skip this next one here. Pending the recent announcement, we'll talk about it after. Gebergsvarian, DBA, the Mountain Club. Adams Lodge, number 1335, BPO, the Elks. Pine Brook Pub, LLC. And Adams Post, number 160, Inc., the American Legion of Mass.
I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion?
Yeah, just quickly, Rick, so for the first page, it would be Bounty Fair, the Polish National Alliance, and the AJ's Trailside, and D, I won't mention name, that's left out for now.
No, I left out the Red Carpet Restaurant.
No, okay, so this Forest Park was, did you mention? I don't know if you did.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Yep,
I checked them as he
So it'll
did.
be
yeah.
A through I, and then K through N, is what you're looking at. Any discussion on those that were mentioned in the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous.
Okay, Deb, have we heard from George on the red carpet? Do they plan on renewing this, considering their closing?
They have turned in all of their paperwork, they have paid for a renewal, they have done anything, and it's my understanding that they would like to keep the license going so they can sell it.
That's my conversation with George as well.
Okay. And we have historically done so for, what, 1 year, what was it?
We've done that in this current year for Zing Financial, operating as the Adams Ale House.
Right. And we did it before that for, what was it called? It wasn't
Rascals.
the Apple,
Rascals.
the Rascals?
That was for Rascals.
Same place, just different name.
Yep, to help with the sale of their business.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the all alcohol establishment license for Red Carpet Restaurant.
Okay, I have a motion by Rick,
I'll second it.
second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or an abstention? That is unanimous.
Now the next one. Zing Financial LLC, doing business as the Adams Ale House. I know they were approved up through the end of the year. Business is still not open. Are we going to issue another license. I mean, the license isn't gonna go away, it's for that building. But I have a problem with issuing a license to a place that's not even open, so to speak. And it hasn't been for quite a while.
That is one of the items that is worth some discussion if the board should choose. But I also want to point out that as of, I believe, 6 o'clock this evening, before we came to this meeting, we are still in need of updated workman's compensation paperwork as well as liquor liability insurance, which is required for all of the renewals. This is the only one in the group of all alcohol establishments that still has that paperwork outstanding. So
I can
wanted
also
to
add
note
for
that.
your deliberation as well, piece of information. I had a fairly lengthy conversation with Mr. Gerard last week, the week before, and it's his intention to still market the property actively as an active restaurant. We didn't intentionally speak about the liquor license as I had with George, but I know he's still trying to market the property.
Right. But he could still do so knowing that the license is sitting there. So whoever were to buy it, I mean, they don't have to worry about there being no licenses. There is one. They would just have to apply.
Right.
How much does it cost to apply for a license?
$1,150 is the cost of the license for the year. The application fee is $100,
How much does the town of Adams get out of that?
all of it.
So why not just, if he wants one, they can have it, and if somebody wants to operate out of that building, they're just going to get a new license. So we gain
Right. But the
$1,100.
the
Do,
commission was looking to eliminate pocket licenses. And basically, we would unknowingly be issuing a pocket license.
Which we've done before.
if we issue this license, are we gonna have a license for another establishment to come to town, or are we gonna be maxed out in liquor license?
No, this license is special legislation. It can only go to that
Only
building.
go to that building.
Oh, I say give it, I mean, we have everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Help him sell it.
I mean,
It's active.
I think we had a pretty lengthy discussion about this at one of our meetings, and, you know, I could go either way on it, but as Rick mentioned, they are frowning on pocket licenses, and, you know, on this one, it's tough because it seems it's, you know, 50% one way, 50% the other, at least in my opinion. I don't know how bad the state would frown upon us, you know, reissuing, you know, another year-long pocket license. After we've issued, you know, I don't know how many times around has this special legislation been going into effect? Is this the third year it's going to be, or the second? Well,
I think it's the second that they've been closed.
second.
Yeah.
What is the consequences if we issue it? I mean, are they, and they decide not to, they're just gonna take that license away, or are we gonna be fined for it, or?
No, the town has the license.
Yeah.
So if they're not open, it reverts to the town. And it can't go anywhere else.
Except for that property. Separate from the pocket license issue, the issue that I still see is that there was required paperwork by a deadline that has been missed, and it is still outstanding paperwork. I would be in favor of tabling this and maybe moving this to another meeting to when maybe the paperwork could be in hand before acting on it. Because there are other licenses that we will have in front of us this evening that also are not, they don't have their paperwork. And so I throw that out there as an option. But at some point, I think we have to hold people to the items that are required for their license
Are
renewals.
these, excuse me, are these required by law?
Yes.
Mass general law? Then
They are.
I agree with you, Christine.
And Deb is looking to chime in, who handles all of the paperwork, so go ahead.
Only problem with holding off on that is that I have to do the upload to the ABCC for the renewals, and if I leave that one off, then they will have to reapply next year. They either have to make that upload, or they don't get the license for the next year and have to reapply. So I have to do that within the next couple of days. So that doesn't leave us a whole lot of time. He has told me that he's not going to give me that paperwork until he's actually open for business. So, I don't, you know.
Yep, Christine, and you had told him this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He
and
knows.
did you give him plenty of time to, okay,
And Deb, can you remind us what the deadline was?
November 18th, I believe, was the deadline for, drop dead deadline for everything to get in, and people are still bringing me things.
We still have, we have a hotel hasn't done it yet, so do we shut them down? We have another restaurant, do we shut them down this evening? They're not the only ones, he's not the only one. Just to make that
Correct.
point, you
Yeah.
know, I agree we can shoot, you know, I like the table myself, and, yeah, but I'm fine with that too, but, there's others that are in the same boat, you know, we can't just identify one individual.
Correct.
And also pocket licenses, you know, what is the rule? Is it, you know, we've done this, we did a year and a half with Rascals, we kept extending it. And we have another one, the George's Restaurant, not gonna be open, but gonna have a license, as a pocket license. So we're gonna let that happen. So what is, you know, what's the law, what's our bylaws, what's the rules? You know, we need to be, either go either way, either we just, you know, try to work with everybody, or we just say, no, 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 what's the way the board wants to go, you know? Because there's instances in every one of the, you know, there's a lot of these in red that haven't furnished everything yet, but we're probably gonna try to do the damn best we can, sorry, to help them get through and get them opened. You know, that's what we do, you know, so.
yeah, what I see though, the ones that are in red, Bascom Lodge, they won't be opening until May of, that probably should have been 2020 and not 2019. So there, and I see those a couple of times. I see Zing, I see Bascom Lodge, and then Jason Donuts Incorporated. I mean, that's a good question,
Right,
but
there's
by,
one there. You got two others, you got, let's see, you got Mount Royal Incorporated, and you also have Yunlin Food Service, Lee's Dynasty. So, you know, what do we do with them? I think we need to be fair across the board.
then I think we cross the line. If it's mass general law, we can't supersede, you know.
We're not crossing Mass General law.
And I also think we're talking apples and oranges too, because like the others, that is for an entertainment license.
Okay,
It's not an alcohol license.
okay. Then that's even a better point.
Okay.
And those could be delayed.
Well,
The entertainment license
We
is.
can approve them pending,
Geez,
The
Dynasty is
Sunday
looking
entertainment
for
license has
liability.
to be sent out to the state right away. The public entertainment licenses are the local ones. We can hold those off for until the next meeting. That won't hurt anything. But by law, we do have to issue the entertainment licenses.
If we approve this, and he pays the money, he don't come up with the workman's comp or liquor liability insurance, he's gonna lose the license and he's gonna lose the money, correct?
What ends up happening is it sits on my desk and I do not let it out the door until he provides me with all of the required documents. So he cannot actually open for business under the alcohol license until he has that hung in his business place. And he
Right.
has to have all of that, all those requirements met first.
You know, last thing I'll say is I see $1,200 that we're just gonna give away, so, which we desperately need, so. That's my last comment on that. And I understand everybody's point, they're all good points.
so we're gonna just sell our soul for the money.
Not selling anybody's soul. Because we do with others. It's not the first one.
All right, well, if that's what the board wants, somebody else will have to make a motion, because I will not vote for that.
Hearing no action on Zing
So
Financial.
if we don't, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, so you're saying if we vote 2 weeks from now, this can still be submitted, right? Or
It'll be
no?
after the submission,
Right, but I think that's probably the way
which
it should
means that he
be.
wouldn't be a renewal, he would actually have to apply for his license again in the new year, because he will lose this license as of December 31st.
Okay.
Because if he doesn't make the renewals, he doesn't get the cut.
'Cause
But
we
has
have-
he applied for next year,
He's given me half of the paperwork.
half of the paperwork, so I just
He's
assume
given
table
me-
it?
I have the check in hand, and I have the
But you don't have
paperwork.
everything, you're not gonna cash the check anyways,
I'm not gonna
right?
cash the check until
Until
I
you get all the paperwork, and if we get all the
paperwork.
paperwork by next week, or next meeting, then it can be brought up for vote at that time.
It can be brought up to
And it-
vote, but it's gonna miss the upload.
Right, so what happens then?
So
So I
then he has
understand.
to apply for a new license.
Just fill out another form?
Uh,
forms?
All those forms, he's gonna have to reapply, and he's gonna have to pay the application fee and go through the abutter notifications and all of that for the new license.
Okay, well, I assume just table it, and if he doesn't, he probably deserves to do all that, not getting things in on time, but giving him an opportunity, but if he doesn't take it,
I agree with that. I mean, he was given ample time,
right?
and if he cared about, selling it, and that was a priority in, his thinking, then I would think that he would have worked harder to try to get all this together and given to the proper channels so we wouldn't be doing this.
And just for the board's information, Deb, can you talk about the notification process this year? And I know that there was a mailing, I know that there've been calls, emails, but, and I think an in-person visit from our health code inspector, and between Deb and Jay, maybe you can just fill in any blanks that I have.
That's pretty much it. Originally, the initial start of the process was on the last day of October, when the ABCC finally gave us the documents that we could send in the mail. I sent them out in the mail that day and stuffed the envelopes, got them out, and the deadline was November 18th, I believe. So they had that time to get in the paperwork with all the requirements. There's a checklist and everything. At that point, I started calling people, emailing people, trying to, encourage them to get their paperwork in. And when they didn't bring their things in, we did, Jay had asked the code enforcement officer to go and make contact with people and say, your license is important, we want to renew this. So some people responded right away, some people did not, and then this is what we have for a final amount for today. I have gotten in touch with people I've continued to contact people, even including today, to get the last of these people on board, and just have not been successful for all of them, but I've gotten almost all of them.
And I'd just like to point out also that this does eat up an awful lot of Deb's time.
That's right.
It's a lot of extra work. I mean, where else when your license is about to expire, the license that your business needs, does somebody make all that effort to get you to turn in this stuff? If your driver license is gonna expire, do you get phone calls or personal visits or whatever? Don't forget, you gotta do this,
We went, if I may,
Certainly, Jay.
this is my first time through with the Town of Adams licensing, and I can tell you that this town has an exceptional licensing clerk/secretary, Deb. She has gone above and beyond, I feel, what is just normally obligated for a administrative request, almost to the point where she's made it a crusade in order to get everything in. So as John said earlier, we can do this. A lot of folks out there, a lot of chatter I've heard over my 8 months about the town being anti-business and there's barriers up. That is farthest from the truth as possible, to the point where our new code enforcement officer, when Deb expressed some exasperation that I cannot get these people to respond and they're in dire straits in terms of getting their license back, we asked Mark to go out and he immediately said, no problem. he did, and I'd like to thank all of our vendors and all of our businesses who did respond that way, because we want to be able to have everything in front of you folks so you can make the decision at this time of year. So Deb deserves a big thank you for doing that. Our businesses who got, and our vendors who got all their paperwork in early so we could process, thank you. And in addition to Deb, it's also Jerry and Mark who spend a lot of time coordinating. We're not doing this because we enjoy doing this. We do this because we're required to as the regulatory authority to do it. So as the chief regulatory officer of the town administrator here, thank you, Deb, and to the rest of the staff for helping out, and our businesses for the other side of the street.
And I have just one more question. Deb, you mentioned that you waited, and it was October 31st when they came forward. Is that late?
It is.
And
Usually, in years past, the ABCC has provided us with the documents somewhere around the 15th of October. And they told us this year that they were going to be later this year, because what was happening is people were getting the documents out and they were signing them early. The state law, believe it or not, says that they are required to sign them in this month of November. So they were trying to eliminate the problem of having people sign them too early by giving them to us in such a time that we couldn't send them out too early for people to sign.
they gave you pre-warning that they were going to be late, so,
And then, but we didn't know how late, and they
Okay.
literally gave them to us on October 31st.
okay. Well, they kept their promise in October, I guess.
Go ahead, Jim.
The thing that I find mind-boggling is he was here 2 months ago. We went over this license thing with him. You know, everybody else, we didn't approach anybody else on it. He was stood up there and told us what his plans were. And obviously, he's following through with his plans because proper paperwork isn't here. He was told, he knows. Oh, I mean, yeah, we're losing money, but, you know, are we playing a game with him? I mean, you know, it's just, I think it's getting out of control.
Okay. So hearing no motion and no action on that?
Madam Chair, I'll make a
Okay.
motion to table the Sing Financial, I want to make sure I'm in the right area here. Until the next meeting. If all the paperwork's not submitted, then that's it.
Okay. I have a motion by John to table,
I'll
With the-
second it.
Yeah.
and a second by Jim.
And then I have one question, sorry, Deb, to you. Now, if we do this tabling in real time, how long does he have to get it to you before you have to upload?
I really actually need to upload it probably by Monday or Tuesday of next week,
Okay,
and then that's it. But then but it hasn't come before the board for an approval, so I would need to have the board's approval before I can really add him to the upload if it's tabled right now.
yeah, so we'd have to have a meeting.
Which we do on Monday.
We do on Monday, and I could amend that to put that as an earmarked place in case we need to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You could make a conditional motion. Could do it that way as well. That would only be approved upon proper receipt. Could do it that way.
And that gives him until Monday or Tuesday.
Mhm.
I don't see much of a difference between what John said and Jay said if we're going to table it, and we're going to have a meeting by Monday. I don't know if it's more proper for terminology or process by making a condition, because we're all going in the same direction with, you know, John tabling it, so I think either one's fine with me. So if I may ask, you second John's motion?
Jim did, yes.
Okay, and we didn't take a vote yet, right?
We did not.
Okay.
So all in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
One opposition and 0 abstentions. Okay. All right. So that brings us to the wine and malt establishments.
Okay, under wine and malt establishment, I make a motion that we approve the wine and malt establishment licenses for Cheese Chinese Cuisine, Inc., and Stacy Varellis, doing business as Pizza House.
Okay. I have a motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the wine and malt establishments pending the completion of paperwork for Bascom Lodge Group LLC and Yunlin Food Services DBA, doing business as Lee's Dynasty Asian Fusion.
I have a motion by Rick.
So I understand, Madam Chairman, sorry.
Go ahead.
I understand the Bascom Lodge, when they open. The Lee's Dynasty, how long before they have to get their paperwork in? Same as the other?
I do. I've been in touch with them a couple of times. They've sent me the same paperwork like 3 times.
Right.
Because I don't think that they understand the difference
Yeah.
between the workman's comp and the liquor liability. So I need to reach out to them again and see if I can help them to understand what additional certificate they need. They've had it in the past, and I don't know that she's understanding that it's the liquor liability part, not the workman's comp that I need. So,
When do you need that? When do we need the paperwork? It's,
well,
Must be a time
historically, in the past, what we've done is we've approved it to go forward pending the paperwork being received, and then we've uploaded it, and as long as they get it in before the 12/31 deadline, then I can issue the license because it's approved to go forward. But if they don't get that paperwork in, then the license stays in my office and we have to close them down until they provide that paperwork.
and the last question is, the wine and malt establishments, any difference between the all alcohol establishments? The same,
They're handled the same way.
they're handled the same way, and the paperwork's due at the same time?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question too. Now, this brings me back to something. Now, Bascom Lodge for a wine and malt establishment, for them having it now, if they don't get it to you before the deadline, does that affect their license?
No, because they've given me everything that they need in order to open up. What they need is their inspection. Their inspection is a little bit different than the others because
Yeah.
it's done by the state versus our local inspector, but they cannot open until they open for the year. They actually nail their doors shut and everything, and they take everything apart. And once they open up, it has to be inspected before they can open for
Right.
business. So their timing is different than
Right.
everybody else because there's no access in the winter, so
Okay.
That's what the difference
Yeah,
is.
I
They
just
just
wanted to
need-
make sure they wouldn't get, caught up in this, having to get it,
No.
because this is protocol every year for Bascom Lodge.
It is,
It's always been
it
that
is.
way since I've been on.
And their requirement is to have it actually inspected in the spring once they open up the
Yep.
doors and everything, so.
Right, they
They
usually,
completely drain the fire system and everything,
oh, I
so.
know, I did it myself many times.
And that's why the inspection can't occur.
Right, yep.
So Rick has made a motion on the wine and malt establishments for Bascom Lodge and Lee's Dynasty, pending an inspection for Bascom Lodge and pending the liquor liability insurance certificate for Lee's Dynasty. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Jim. Is there any discussion? or
Just one
questions?
thing, I'm glad, Deb, that you're gonna reach out to Youngland Food Services as Lee's Dynasty, because I think there may be some confusion with them. I think, it's a different,
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
I've emailed them. We've gone back and forth, and it just seems like they don't understand that the liquor liability is different
yeah,
than the workman's
right,
comp.
yeah, it's not sinking in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or an abstention? That is unanimous. We'll move on down to the Sunday entertainment licenses. And there was a Joe had mentioned that Bascom Lodge, under this, it says pending inspection May 2019, but that should say May 2020. That's quite all right, Deb.
Oh.
I think we can manage with that one, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the Sunday entertainment licenses for, the following will be after 1 PM. TAW JRW Inc., doing business as Wojo's. Commercial Street Cafe, doing business as the Viking Pub. Pine Brook Pub, LLC. Palanca Grounds, care of St. John Paul II Parish. Nicholas Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Bounty Fair. And the Polish National Alliance. Sorry, I just can't
It's
get
okay, yeah.
your name right. And for before 1 PM, AJ Trailside Pub, Adams Turner's Inc., The Grill, Gebirgsverein, doing business as the Mountain Club, and the Adams Agricultural Fair Bow Field.
I have a motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Jim.
Yeah, and just a curiosity question. Why are some after and why are some before 1 PM?
The actual Sunday license, sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't ask.
Go ahead, Deb.
The actual Sunday license has parameters of different pricing for the before 1 PM and after 1 PM.
Okay.
It's $100 annually for the state for before 1 PM for you to have entertainment, but if you wait until after 1 PM, they'll do only $50 for the annual fee. So it's a pricing thing, and it makes sense for some establishments to have it open beforehand if they want to have pool tables or jukebox or
Right.
something going on beforehand.
Well, thank you, because that's news to me.
I have a motion by Rick and a second by Jim. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. Weekly entertainment licenses.
I still have one more on the Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to approve the Sunday entertainment license for Bascom Lodge Group LLC, pending their inspection in May of 2020.
I have a motion by Rick,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstention? That is unanimous. Now the weekly entertainment licenses, I
Right.
think. Okay.
Weekly entertainment licenses. I'll make a motion to approve the weekly entertainment licenses for AJ's Trailside Pub, Adams American Legion, Adams American Legion, Pine Brook Pub LLC, Forest Park Country Club, TAWJRW Inc., doing business as Wojo's, Commercial Street Cafe, doing business as the Viking Pub, Halflinger House, Adams Turner's Inc., The Grill, the Polish National Alliance, Gebirgsverein, DBA, doing business as the Mountain Club, Adams Lodge, number 1335, BPO, The Elks, Nicholas Enterprises, doing business as Bounty Fair, the Palanca Grounds, care of St. John Paul II Parish, in the Adams Agricultural Fair, Bullfield.
I have a motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. Continuing on with weekly entertainment licenses.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the weekly entertainment license for Bascom Lodge, pending their inspection in May of 2020. And for Zing Financial LLC, doing business as Adams Ale House.
Second.
Second, thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Or an abstention? That is unanimous. The common vic licenses.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the common victular license, and that's as close as I'm gonna get on that, for Myrtle Street Supermarkets, Inc., doing business as Adams Hometown Market, AJ's Trailside Pub, Forest Park Country Club, TAWJRW Inc., doing business as Wojo's, Commercial Street Cafe, doing business as the Viking Pub, Halflinger House, Adams Turners Inc., The Grill, Red Carpet Restaurant, the Polish National Alliance, Stacy Varelis, doing business as Pizza House, Gebirgsbergen, doing business as the Mountain Club, Adams Lodge, number 1335 BPO, The Elks, Pinebrook Pub LLC, Cheese Chinese Cuisine Inc., Nicholas Enterprises, doing business as Bounty Fair, Adams Post number 160 Incorporated, the American Legion of Mass, JP Rose, doing business as 7-Eleven, Original Submarine Corporation, doing business as Angelina's Submarine Shop, The Daily Grind, James 410 LCC, or LLC, doing business as McDonald's, Corner Variety and Luncheonette, Josen Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Domino's Pizza, Topia Inn, the Coffee Liberation Front, Tri Petroleum Inc., that's it.
I have a motion by Rick, and for those of you following on your agenda, it was for A through P, R, S, and then U through double B.
I'll second it.
Second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. Continuing with the common vic licenses.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the common vic licenses for Bascom Lodge Group LLC pending the inspection in May of 2020. Jason Donuts Inc., doing business as Dunkin' Donuts. We're just waiting on tax collector confirmation on that one. That should be easy. The Youngland Food Service Inc., doing business as Lee's Dynasty Asian Fusion. Once again, the liquor liability insurance thing. And Zing Financial LLC, doing business as Adams Ale House.
I'll second it.
All of it.
Pending that paperwork. And I have a second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? Okay, that is unanimous. Auto sales.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the auto sales licenses for Alternative Motors of Adams, Inc., this one on 69 Columbia Street. Also for Alternative Motors of Adams, Inc. on 74 Columbia Street. For Gene Sales and Service. For Maple Grove Equipment. For McAndrews King Buick and GMC, Inc. For Ronnie Cycle Sales and Service, Inc. on 150 Holland Ave. And Ronnie Cycle Sales and Service, Inc. at 63 Elger Street.
I have a motion by Rick. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. Inn holders and lodging licenses.
Can I make a motion to approve the inn holders and lodging licenses for Haflinger House and for Topia Inn?
We have a motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or abstention? It is unanimous.
Okay, anybody object to me grouping the last two in that category?
My preference would be to separate.
All right, I'll separate them. Make a motion to approve the inn holders and lodging license for Bascom Lodge Group LLC, pending inspection in May of 2020.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the inn holders and lodging licenses for Mount Royal Inc., doing business as Mount Royal Inn, pending a whole list of stuff that has to be turned in and taken care of.
Could you please state them though for the record?
Okay, for the record, they are payment of taxes, payment of TOA,
Town of Adams, payment to.
okay,
The license-
workman's compensation certificate, and return of all renewal paperwork.
Yeah, if I could say, those are pretty serious, you know. I don't see why someone who would just had put quite a bit of money in, I thought the place, they did a good job, would, you know, be deficient in all these categories.
Deb, with the inn holders and lodging licenses, are we held to the same timeline as the alcohol licenses with our upload of renewal paperwork?
We don't have to upload those.
Okay.
Those are locally done. However, the license that we had approved in the past expires on December 31st. And without a renewal on the books, I think we're looking at possibly having that closed until the renewal paperwork in proper. The workman's comp is required by the state for us to have on file for the open business. So I'm not,
But we would have more time in the
We have
month
more
of
time.
December
we have more time
on this
yes.
one. And so if we did not take action on this evening, or if our action was to table it, that would give Mount Royal Inn more time to provide all of the paperwork that is necessary for the renewal, because as of today, at 6 PM, we've received nothing from Mount Royal Inn.
Correct, and I did reach out again today
Okay.
and still have gotten no response.
Did you talk to anyone personally, or did you
I-
just get answering machines and that
I
type of
have
thing?
not- I have left messages,
Okay.
and I have emailed, and I have sent out the paperwork, and I have gotten nothing back.
I can tell you that that Jerry Garner has attempted as well.
Yeah,
He's able to make contact with somebody on the premises, but they will not give out the contact information for the person responsible for these items. And Jerry has implored with them to please pass along the information or share with him the contact information, to no avail.
how about through certified mail?
I've got the contact information, I've
Okay.
used it. And I've used it, and
But with
I've
no
gotten no
return.
response.
I feel we've met our due diligence from
Okay.
a
I
town government
agree.
perspective.
In
I
addition
agree.
to Mr. Garner, it also looks like Mr. Blaisdell has paid a visit to Mount Royal Inn and has done an inspection on November 20th. So that's another in-person contact that Mount Royal Inn has received
Mhm.
prior to the, well, that was actually after the deadline of the 18th. Go ahead, Jim.
I want to make a motion that we table this until we have the proper paperwork.
We do have a motion on, that's
I don't think it was seconded.
It was not
it
so
wasn't
failed.
seconded, so you want to, okay.
Are you withdrawing your motion?
Yes, I'll withdraw the motion.
I make a motion that we table this until the proper paperwork is in hand.
Okay. I have a motion by Jim to table this,
I'll second.
a second by Rick. Is there further discussion? Hearing none? Oh, did you?
I just have a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, I'm
If the
sorry.
paperwork doesn't get here by December 31st, that means they're gonna be shut down?
In
So be it.
That would be the practice that we've had in the past that we've never had to do.
Just the threat has helped.
It has.
I hope.
And hopefully that would,
Hopefully that'll work here, but
Yeah, and one thing also
go ahead, Joe.
in consideration is there is a state requirement, so that, if they don't even meet that, that's it.
Any other discussion on tabling this particular license?
I have none.
Hearing none, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. That, let me just check our agenda. Because there is a note here that there are a couple of other
right here.
licenses. They're not on our agenda for this evening, so we won't be taking any action on them. But for the board's information, there are some common vic license applications that are pending from Cumberland Farms in Racing Mart. Those are new this year. Those have been recommended by the code enforcement officer that they receive those licenses and have just received their paperwork. So they did not have the same time frame as everyone else, and that's why they're not on this agenda. The other business to also be applying for their common vic license is the Original Seed, which is a business that plans to open in the new year. So we will get that paperwork in front of us as well. And then the other license is B&B Micro Manufacturing. That was missed in the mailing. That's a new license that we issued this year and wasn't on our list of licenses when we sent the renewal paperwork. So it was missed in that, and therefore they did not get the paperwork, and we are working on getting the paperwork to them. It is our expectation that we will have the paperwork for those 4 establishments ready for approval at the December 18th meeting, and we can take action at that time, and that we will still be within the timeframe that would be okay for their renewals, as those are handled a little differently than the licensed ones. Yes.
I just want to point out, for B&B Micro Manufacturing, that's going to be for an auto sales license, not the common vic.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for correcting me on that. I didn't, yeah, they're not selling, maybe they are out of the tiny homes, or they could. They would need a
Never
common
seen
vic at that
anybody
point.
drive.
And just out of curiosity, for my own knowledge, what is the Original Seed gonna be?
That I don't know, actually. That's a new business that's coming forward, that's coming through community development and the town administrator's office. They've met.
Multiple times, they've been issued tobacco permits, scheduled to be an adult-only cigar lounge.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, that's
we've
the
heard
name
of
of
it. I
it.
didn't know
That's
that
the
that
name
was
of it.
what the name was gonna be. Is that supposedly still at Rascals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're through tobacco permit. They have a couple, very similar to this, couple of administrative items to take care of for the finalization of the tobacco permit, but it's been conditionally approved, and any of the zoning and planning issues have been already approved and worked through.
Thank you for reminding me that that's the name of the business.
The
That
Original
is-
Seed.
That escaped me.
They're very excited about opening up, and Adams we might be the first to have that. There's one starting to get some traction in Pittsfield, but town of Adams might be first to have one. John and Tracy are quite excited about opening up. Glad to have them.
And a question to the chair, the Cumberland Farms and Racing Mart, they're new this year because they weren't included the last several years, or what's the reason for their addition?
Yeah, so the reason is they have not ever applied for a common vic license. There was some thought behind that they weren't required to have the license, but given the types of food items that they do serve at those two establishments, it has been recommended to our board by our code enforcement officer that they should be in compliance with a common vic license.
Thank you.
That's a function of Mark going through everything and aligning everything correctly.
To make sure that they are consistent with the other establishments that serve similar types of items.
Thank you.
Okay. I've been well coached on that one, so thank you to the staff on that. Okay, I think that's it for licenses. It is a lengthy process and sometimes painful, so I appreciate everyone's patience through that. But just want to extend once again gratitude from the licensing subcommittee and maybe on behalf of this full board for the work that Deb has put in for the licensing renewals, and also to Jay's input on all of this. But in addition, it looks like the code enforcement officer, even given his fall start date, was able to get in and inspect all of these properties, and was able to provide us with an inspection history for the different properties. I know that Jerry went and inspected as well, and I want to also thank the fire chief for the inspections that were done on that end. So it does certainly take a village to make sure that all of the renewals are done, and I just thank everybody for their input. And if I've missed anyone, my apologies, but those are all of the individuals that I know that I've been working with through this process. So thank you. All right, that's the bulk of the meeting. So now I will turn things over to department reports and turn things over to Jay.
Just to dovetail on what you said, I'd like to thank Director of Inspectional Services and our Building Commissioner, Jerry Garner, for doing a good job of building that cohesiveness. We're one of a few communities in the 32 towns here in the Berkshires that have that separate fire and water district, with the inspectional requirements of the fire department resting with an entirely different entity. And Jerry's done a really good job of working with the fire chief from the fire district to streamline and to collaborate and coordinate on all of our inspectional services. Code Enforcement Officer Blaisdell certainly living up to his reputation as being thorough, as you can see tonight from a couple of items. So I think it's important for the public to know that we're taking a look and we're paying attention to how we're doing our business in order to promote their business and keep everybody open and keep this really as simple as possible as we can. Moving on to a couple things, the Information Technology Department. Most of our town departments have finally been updated with a new operating system for our computers, Windows 10. I just want to let the public know that we're still having a few glitches here and there with the new hard drives installed. So if you walk into a town office and that person's not able to help you right there, please be patient. It's probably just a computer glitch. Knock on wood, for the most part, everything went well, but as with any information technology, it's its own entity. That's for sure. In terms of the DPW, winter arrived here in the lovely Berkshires with a pretty big wallop, as we all know. I think the final report was about 25 inches, I think, for Adams and our sister city, North Adams. So I think we got a pretty good brunt of that. DPW's longest duration on duty was about 16 hours, starting at 11 p.m. On Sunday and going off duty at their normal time going back on duty Monday night and coming off duty on Tuesday. But I'd like to, as Joe mentioned the other night, I'd like to thank all of them. They're down one person, so they're short one driver. I'd also like to thank Walt Gary over at wastewater treatment plant. As you know, there was a conversation about having a truck over at wastewater treatment. We were able to repurpose one of the DPW highway trucks over there. Walt came out and plowed with truck number 5. And helped out highway. So I'd like to thank him as well for pitching in that way. He wasn't required to do that. Park Street is scheduled for snow removal, we hope, for next week in order to open up those parking spaces for our businesses out there. You can see that DPW did put the free parking bags over the parking meter, so they were able to do that. Reminder to the public that we are offering free parking in our 2 downtown areas all the way through January 2nd.
Although Mother Nature has taken away those parking spaces.
Yes.
For the time being.
Yes, so please be patient with us. DPW is out there. Park Street's a little bit more complicated. They'll be in sometime next week overnight. In order to do that, we have to lease a couple of large capacity dump trucks in order to create some efficiencies to do that as well. What else can I share with you for the public in terms of that? We know that the corners on some of the streets, the snowbanks are high. I spoke with Mr. Coda this morning about that. He is aware of it. They're going through systematically as best they can to tidy up some of the areas. The primary function is the primary streets. So they are going through and they're trying to remove some of those large snowbanks that have built up. We're still interviewing we have several open positions. Just for everyone's notification, we have an open position at wastewater treatment. We have the operator 1 position at DPW, several open positions at Council on Aging, and of course, our DPW director, we're going through that process as well. So my time is being spent trying to fill some of those jobs with the requisite department heads and recruit, which is becoming challenging here in the Berkshires. Animal control officer is also scheduled to be interviewed this month. Part of the delay with that, as I may have mentioned previously, we've had some internal conversations about the best way that position could be structured. If it should remain under the police department or if it should perhaps move under inspectional services. We've decided at this point to keep it under police, as has been traditional. Chief and I had a good conversation about that. So we're scheduled to do that interview sometime this month in December. The rail trail, we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with the primary contractor, J.H. Maximilian. So myself and the town administrator in Cheshire, we hope to get some information for our businesses that will be affected by this construction in terms of scheduling. We hope, of course, with this storm it may have changed, but last month when we met initially, we were hopeful that they would be able to start some of the supporting work this winter. We'll find out tomorrow if that's possible. And we'll keep our businesses informed in terms of what that schedule is going to look like. That's all I have.
Any questions for our town administrator?
Just a few. Do we have any updates on when this medical marijuana business is going to open? And I've seen nothing going on at the mill across the street from the gentleman that came and he wanted to do cultivation in that mill. And he was really gung-ho. I felt, really excited about his zeal to do it, but I don't see anything going on down there.
Not to my knowledge. The adult marijuana retail is still scheduled to open sometime in early 2020, and that would be in the former Ronnie's building.
Right.
You'll see them
Yeah,
working
I see
in there.
work being done.
Yes. LC Squared, which is the cultivator across the street, they are still on track. They are just getting all their engineering and architecture and, architectural drawings together. There was some debate as to whether or not they were going to continue to renovate the building or if they were going to demolish in its entirety and build greenhouses, and that was financially dependent in terms of which way they were going to go. So that's their update for there.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, we were the first really community to, try to get this going. And when I see the other communities, the windfall they're getting from, the sales of marijuana, we could use it.
We could, and I can tell you it's certainly not anything to do with town government. It has to do with the individual
I'm not saying
businesses.
that,
Yep.
because there are private people coming in, but, it just seems that all of a sudden I'm seeing all these other communities with, where's the saturation point,
Yes, and we've actually have, I want to say 2 others that have knocked on the door recently.
Yeah.
So we're working to try to find them a home.
Jay, just if I
Okay.
may, we have received payment from both of those.
One.
Is it Mission, Massachusetts that has sent
It's the
payment?
former business formerly known as Mission, Massachusetts. They reorganized, but yes, we have that.
Sent their
We
first
have that
payment to the
Mhm.
town.
Yes.
They have to in order to move forward at any extent.
Correct. Yep.
And then the last thing, I'd like to see, we banned plastic bags from this community, and I don't like to see those plastic bags for free parking, maybe next year, maybe get like some sacks or something, like potato sacks or something.
Canvas?
Yeah, because we banned plastic bags, and, you go out there and you see plastic bags on the,
I highly doubt we can get more than, were they on last year too, the plastic
This
bags?
is the third year.
Third year, I can't imagine we get more
And
than.
the ban was on single-use plastic bags. Those
Yeah.
are multi-use. They're
Yeah.
used every year.
Oh, okay.
At least for
We can-
3.
That's tiptoeing.
I like that.
Tiptoeing through the tulips. But anyways, that's just, was my thought. I see them and we were, prodding along and we were, not the first, but we were, and that was all, really Ed Driscoll was one of the persons that was really pushing that along with the gentleman Remo Del Gallo from Pittsfield.
Ronaldo.
But
Yep.
that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions for our town administrator? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to subcommittee and liaison reports, and I will start to my right. And Joe, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. Well, I don't know, it might have been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We all got together up in Charlemont at the Berkshire East where the Woodland, Mohawk Trail Woodlands Partnership Group had been meeting. And at this particular meeting, we got together with the head of the United States Forest Service. Her name is Victoria Peterson, and along with was the Secretary of Environmental Affairs for Massachusetts, Kate Theorides. And we sat and they signed a mutual agreement with the United States Forest Service in the state of Massachusetts that the federal government is not going to come in and want to buy land. They're going to be doing technical work for private landowners that want to do work on their property to enhance the forest product that could be taken from it. They're going to help with using natural resource base for recreational purposes. And I felt honored to be the spokesman at this meeting for the 21 communities that represent the Woodlands Partnership. It made me feel that, I had a lot to say, and it was an exciting time, and we're really hoping with this partnership that funding can come through right now. That's what we're working on, to get funding. We want to perpetuate a fund where there's money always there, so it's not a year by year asking for money. So the woman, Victoria Peterson from the United States Forest Service, was really excited about it, along with our environmental secretary. It's the first of its kind in Massachusetts, and don't have any federal land in Massachusetts, but we're having a partnership, and that's what the Forest Service and the state of Massachusetts was looking for, to work in collaboration. So I think that worked out very well, and just waiting and keeping our fingers crossed that funding will come through. And so we'll see how that plays out. And once again, I'll go back to the Susan B. Anthony celebration. We're still picking away at it, and so anybody who wants to get on board, because it's going to come quick. It's going to be come January 1st. We're in 2020, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us to make it successful. So that's all that I have.
Thank you, Joe. Rick?
Nothing.
Jim?
Council on Aging, they're still looking for volunteers to drive the car. Thanksgiving dinner over there was attended by 66 people. The COA had 219 people utilize their services the month of November. The upcoming holiday party is December 10th for the COA. It's at the Bounty Fair. DJ Biz will be the entertainment. There's only going to be one mobile food bank this December. It's going to be the second Tuesday. Where are we here? This Prudential Committee, I attended their meeting. It was only half a meeting because I attended a outdoor recreation meeting at the Freight Yard Pub with Christine, which was quite informative. I'm sure Christine can elaborate on that. And today I attended the Art Hathaway Christmas party up the Hoosick Valley. It was well attended by everybody. Everybody had a great time. That's it.
Thanks,
And I'd
Jim.
like to elaborate on that. He plays a mean Santa. I was up there. He
Santa's
came
helper.
out. Yeah, he was.
Santa's helper.
I couldn't tell it was, I couldn't tell. I thought it was Santa.
All the Sunday tickets for Tinseliner sell out fast because
Yeah,
Sunday
There's
Santa.
there's a helper.
yeah.
I know him personally.
Excellent. John?
I did made an attempt to attend the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission meeting last week or two ago, but, which was good news. Our actual delegate did show up from the planning board for that meeting, so I decided to let that individual represent the community, and it's great to see that that person showed up. Guzaway, that's her first name. But anyways, I appreciate her showing up. She went to the training prior to the meeting for new members, and hopefully she will continue, the planning board will continue to be represented. That is their board, the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. So I've been supporting it for 3 to 4 years as the alternate, and I will continue to do so. But it was great to see that our delegate was there for that meeting. So that's all I have.
Thank you. As Jim mentioned, the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition did host an outdoor recreation forum. And it was in collaboration with our Senator Hines, and it was held at Freight Yard Pub. But Jim and I were able to hear from a number of different organizations throughout the Berkshires, and actually outside of the Berkshires, who are outdoor enthusiasts who were talking about different trails and the trail system that we have here, but the opportunity that exists for other trails and how they could come together to increase that. So that was throughout the Berkshires, not just Northern Berkshire, because we talked about even Pittsfield State Forest, Mount Washington, and our home here of Mount Greylock.
New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, right. So it was a good meeting. I would say there was probably 60,
At least, yeah.
70
It's well
people there on a
attended.
Monday night. And I think that they will continue to have those conversations. So that was good. Announcements and good of the order. I will start back down with Joe.
Okay, just a few things. I'd like to thank Dr. Bush. I mean, that makes the street. And I'm also very impressed to look at Summer Street where the hair salon is. I don't want to butcher the name, but the store next to it also, very festive looking. And I just think that really makes the holiday season, and I want to commend them and thank them for what they do to make Adams a better place. And as was mentioned earlier, the closing of the red carpet, I believe that we should get a citation together for the Haddad family for all of their years in the community and for all they've done for our community. I'm sad to see it close, but it certainly was nothing to do with our community. They're getting older, they're getting tired, there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of time and effort put in to keep a establishment, particularly a restaurant, open. So I'd like to do something a little bit special for the Haddad family. And if anybody has any other suggestions other than a citation, please make it known. That's all.
Thank you for that, Joe. Rick?
Normally I would say nothing, but I just wanted to commend the DPW doing their part with the cleanup. The roads were actually really good. Now I gotta ask everybody to do their part. If they have a fire hydrant out in front of your house, please make sure it's cleared. You may, hopefully it won't be, but it may be helping yourself.
Sidewalks too.
I'm sorry?
Sidewalks too.
Sidewalks too.
That's an
And
ordinance.
storm drains.
Yeah, I was gonna just mention that. We're due for some pretty big rain next
It's
Monday.
gonna be in the
Tuesday.
50s Monday.
Tuesday would rain.
You're gonna be looking at flooding if you don't get them storm drains opened up.
Anything else you want to add on to that list? No, just joking. Jim, anything?
I said my piece.
You said your piece, okay.
Thanks.
John?
Yes, this afternoon, myself and Town Administrator Jay Green, we attended an opening at the former St. Mark's Episcopal Church, which is part of the Don Summer Center and the Berkshire's Academy for Advanced Musical Studies. I'd like just, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, just read the press release that will be going out. It's pretty short. So the title is "The Former Adams Church to Welcome Important Music and Arts Organizations, a Place for Education, Creativity, and Performance." A new music academy will be opening its doors in northern Berkshire County in mid-August 2020. The Berkshire's Academy for Advanced Musical Studies will be the centerpiece of the Olga C. Summer Center for Music and Art. Adams, Massachusetts is the new home for the Olga C. Summer Center for Music and Art, formerly St. Mark's Episcopal Church, founded by the Summer family. The Olga C. Summer Center for Music and Art offers unique learning and performance space, utilizing the ideal acoustics of the Romanesque Revival-style former church. Partnering with the Summer Center is a new organization, the Berkshire's Academy for Advanced Musical Studies, led by Artistic Director, Trumpeter, Recording Artist, Educator, and North Adams native, Richard Bolger. And he did play today, and it sounded excellent. The idea of forthcoming Berkshire's Academy for Advanced Musical Studies evolved following support from Bill Colas and Mike Mack of the Adams Anthony Center, sponsoring of the 2018 and 2019 Berkshire Summer Jazz Camp Series. Colas and Mack worked closely with Richard Bolger, Jake Keplinger, who is the band director of Hoosick Valley High School in Cheshire, and the camp's faculty, including saxophonist Alex Foster, as well as Don Summer, who for years has envisioned a music and arts center for the Adams area. Finally, the music programs will offer students ages 10 to 18 throughout the Berkshire's region an opportunity to study and play music with some of today's finest musical artists and educators, with in-depth instruction in instrumental music, improvisation, and musical composition. Special emphasis will be placed on the art forms of jazz and contemporary music as a foundation for the improvisation of musical composition. For more information on the acronym is BAAMS, the After School Music Academy, including audition dates and requirements, please visit the www.adamsanthonycenter.com/the acronym BAAMS. So